Hey,
Hello.
so I'm recording this so you know, and we're just giving it a
Okay.
moment because I had several other people confirm that they were definitely attending. So we'll let them arrive, trust that they're arriving.
Mhm. How are you?
So I'll get started and people will arrive if they arrive. And if for some reason it does wind up just being you and I, what you're going to receive, Mary, is a lovely deep dive shamanic journey. And I will likely, cut out much of the rest of it and just do the guide an extra guided journey with you.
Okay.
So, but let's start and see if people pop in. So, welcome to the initiation. This is for those of you who are educators or teachers, psychotherapists, coaches, or leaders, and who also have a desire to make a massive impact through writing books, business clarity, delivering transformational programs, or speaking on stage, and have walked a spiritual path that is uniquely your own, likely connected to the divine feminine or angelic realm, as well as potentially experienced significant ancestral or spiritual trauma. We will be going deep into who you truly are as an oracle, vessel, or channel of the divine feminine, and how you can begin to bring your next levels of impact, leadership, and abundance into tangible form. If that is you, welcome. Okay, we have somebody else jumping on. Hello, Harper. Okay, so here's what we are doing today. We will be defining initiation and what it is and why this matters. Then I will be sharing who I am, my background, and what led me to this work. After that, we'll be exploring more about who you are and what you are looking for. Then we'll be doing a guided journey where you meet your higher self, especially the aspects connected to the divine feminine, especially the aspects connected to the divine feminine, and to begin to know the impact that you are truly here for. After that, we'll be going more in depth on you and what you desire in terms of impact, leadership, and abundance. Then we'll be unpacking what you've tried to get there and what you might need instead. And finally, I will be sharing how you can continue this journey with me in private, high-level mentorship. So before I get into all of that, since we've had more people join, hello.
Hi.
Hi, okay. If you just jumped on, please put yourself on mute. I'm going to invite all of you to put yourself on mute because, yeah, and we'll do Q&A at the end and you can unmute later. And let's take a couple of deep breaths together. So take a 3 or 4 deep breaths. Close your eyes or eyes open, whatever you want. Go ahead and connect into your body. Connecting to your breath. Bringing yourself out of whatever you were doing before this. And into the here and now. And asking yourself one question. What is it that I most desire from today's class? Is it clarity on the highest level of impact you are meant to create? Is it deeper connection to yourself as the priestess, teacher, leader that you are? Or is it something else entirely? And that's valid too. Whatever it is, just let your intention take form. And take 2 or 3 more breaths. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if you want to, you can quickly write down what your intention is for yourself and carry it like a seed as we go through today. You're also welcome to share it in the chat if you want. So write it down for yourself, share it in the chat, whatever works for you. And with this intent, simple is good. So simplicity. If you're finding yourself writing a little novel, as I know some of you do, as I know some of you do, can write your intention in 2 sentences. Clarity on the impact I am here to create, clarity on what my business is, remembering myself as a leader, whatever it is, it can be done in 1 to 2 sentences. So finish up. Here is where we begin. Let's talk about what initiation is. Initiation is a rite of passage. Initiation is a beginning or a start. One definition of initiation is admission into a group or club, which is hilarious. But in this case, it's a rite of passage into remembering the vehicle, the vessel of the sacred feminine that you already are, which in turn collapses timelines and brings the result of leadership or impact that you want quickly to you. So I'm going to detour just for a moment here. The conventional, you say you want to like make an impact or have clarity on your business or write a book or whatever passion you desire to bring into the world. And the conventional path is, well, what's your client avatar, right? How much do you need to post on social media? What business strategy do you need? In some cases, how much inner child healing do you need to do? Note, all in favor of all of those things. None of those things are bad. They all have the place. They all have a place. But what all of this leaves out is that you, I, all of us who are connected to the other realms, who are connected to spiritual realms, have this innate and magical capacity to speed this up tremendously by connecting to those realms first and then doing all of that other stuff along the way. So to go a little deeper into initiation, initiation has also been defined as to pass through a rite of passage or portal so that you can embark upon the next stage of your human journey. In this case, we're speaking about passing through a rite of passage of reconnecting you to the divine feminine, to the sacred feminine, for some of you to the angelic realms, reconnecting you to those realms as an oracle or teacher, leader, channel, or priestess, so that you can create the impact that you desire. And so that you can do so much more quickly, taking like years off the process than just taking the conventional routes of business strategy and healing done on their own. An initiatory path can also be more specific in that your own hardships and trauma and health crisis get to be transformed into the impact that you create. So there's another magical aspect to this, that if you've been through medical trauma, if you've been through religious or spiritual trauma, if you've been through ancestral trauma, it's not just that there is something to be healed there. And yes, there is. And yes, it's valid. But that there's also a portal or gateway in which whatever you went through becomes a part of your own teaching. How is this landing so far? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, great. Okay. So the other thing about this, about how your own journey gets to be transformed into the impact that you create, is that what you have to teach is meant to be transmitted by you and not by somebody else. There's something that is so uniquely yours and so beautiful and so powerful and so sacred, precisely because you've been through what you've been through. Okay. So really let that land. Okay. Before I get into the next steps, I want to invite you to type any questions in the chat to see if there is question, or if there are any questions so far. And we will do a live Q&A with, with voice at the end. So if questions do arise, write them down for yourself and save them. We'll do them at the end. So who am I? Who am I? Why are we here? Who am I to even teach this? I am am Asherah Eden. I grew up in the Jewish religion, but I always felt the heartbeat of the divine feminine, otherwise known as the Shekinah. And at the same time, the family that I was raised in had a lot of patriarchal trauma and violence. This combination led to a potent brew of intense challenges and deep awakening years later in my adult life. I'm also a published author. I've been published in the Change book series and in Mad in America, which is actually an anti-psychiatry journal. I'm a former psychotherapist, former yoga teacher, and multiply initiated priestess. And I've been working with individuals and groups in a transformational capacity for 23 years. My original career right out of college, I finished college in 2000. I was a yoga teacher by 2001. I'm older than I look. You guys do the math. I'm older than I appear. I'm a walking midlife crisis. Okay. So a little bit more about my own journey with the part that's specifically relevant to initiation. In 2004, I was a super successful, booked out. So a little bit more about the part that's specific to initiation. In 2004, I was a super successful, booked out yoga teacher. I had the money, I had the boyfriend, I had the house, I had the things, but I felt as if I was making the wrong impact and living a life that wasn't mine. And I was also, really booked out and really successful as a yoga teacher, but I was working so hard. I was getting up at like 6 a.m. in Boston, chipping my car out of the snow and ice, teaching like 15 yoga classes a week, and thinking, oh my goddess, will this ever end? I also had my own journey with trauma and PTSD woven into this. And at that time, I had really severe insomnia, and I was a student of Ashtanga yoga. And this matters for a reason. So this yogic path that I was on took me to move to Maui later in 2004. And as a part of that move to Hawaii for the first time, because I'm here again, but this was the first time, I met my first spiritual teacher. Now, one of them was the yoga teacher I had moved around the world to study with, but the second one was a shaman. And she would later, years later, not in 2005 when I met her, but years later in 2007, initiate me as a priestess. Now, this wasn't something I had asked for. I didn't go running to her and say, oh, I think there's something more. It wasn't a, 3-day retreat that somebody was holding off of Facebook. It was a one-to-one direct spiritual transmission that actually unfolded over a number of years. And during that journey, I had these profound moments of deep clarity, deep bliss, touching God, talking to God as especially aspects of the divine feminine. And there was a moment in time where it got to the point where after I had had part of this journey with her, where I left the session and walked down the street, and a little boy, a little Hawaiian boy, called out kahuna when he saw me. And if you don't know, kahuna is Hawaiian for shaman. And, at that time I was in like my late 20s or something. And I was like, who am I for any of this? This is wild. This is so weird. Who the hell am I to be receiving any of this? I was like, she was telling me who I might become. And honestly, I'm still on my path, right? I'm still becoming. I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm just further along than I was back then. And I thought, no, that's insane. That's wild. That's crazy. That can't be me. I'm just like this little yoga teacher, right? Now, side note, as a yoga teacher, I was having a tremendous impact. I was getting 50 people in class. But I was like, oh, I'm nobody. I'm just this yoga teacher. I'm going to, whatever. She can't possibly be true. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. All the things, I'm a loser, whatever it was coming up for me at the time. But I went through the process. And this was a journey that unfolded over really 2 immersive hands-on deep dive years. And I've had other mentors before and after. Now, that process of initiation, as though though it literally had me talking to Goddess and had people who didn't know me calling me Kahuna while I was walking down the street, led to a really big dark night of the soul after. It led to a really big emotional crash. Now, this needed to happen because of repressed trauma. So, when you shine a bright light on something, on yourself, really, when you shine a bright light on your power, on your potential, and your bigness, and who you might become, there's also this other side of all the things that need to be healed, whether that's ancestral trauma or spiritual trauma, or even, for some of my students, it's been medical issues, medical trauma, things of that nature. Yeah, there's many aspects to this. So I had a massive emotional crash after this, and it needed to happen because of the repressed trauma. But my own initiation was also not handled properly. The woman who initiated me was not prepared to handle what came up after. And I had to go out and study like 18 more modalities. Like I literally had to go get a master's in psychology, in somatic and mind body psychology, and have like 8 other teachers after her to sort through all the shadow material that was emerging and to do the integration piece. Yeah, I'm seeing people nodding their heads, so people are relating to this. Yeah. The good news, the good news is now I have mastered not all of it, much of it for myself and for the work that I deliver to you, because I had to go through it and pick up the pieces where my original teacher missed the mark. Okay. So the underworld part of this journey is absolutely a part of the priestess path. And any mentor or teacher who's like, oh, it's all love and light, it's all namaste and blessings, they're lying to you. And I get such devious joy in saying that. They're lying to you. They are not telling you the truth. The underworld part is absolutely a part of the priestess path. It simply doesn't need to take decades. Like it doesn't need to take as long as mine took. It doesn't need to be as messy as mine was. It doesn't need to rip apart your whole life, but it also does need to happen. Okay. I have a guideline here and I just accidentally minimized that screen. Okay. Okay. So you have to go to the darkness to bring the gifts and fruits to the light. And for obvious reasons, you can't actually have a complete initiatory process, in a goddess weekend retreat or a $300 course for like just really obvious reasons. But where this ultimately goes is initiation, this first part that we're touching upon, is the required foundation, plus all the other things I spoke about. What the initiation itself gave me was clarity on who I really was and who I really am at the highest level, and clarity on what impact I'm creating in the world. So initiation is the required foundation for clarity on who you truly are, and clarity on not what your conscious mind thinks you could create. Oh, I could have a little business. Oh, I could get 2 clients. Oh, I could keep teaching yoga for 5 more years. Not what your conscious mind thinks, but for whatever is truly, truly, truly available for you, which is generally like 1,000 times better. Okay. So I'm going to pause again and see if there's any questions about this so far. Because we're going to talk about you guys, because it's not just about me, but understanding me helps you know where all of this is coming from. So are there questions at this point? Feel free to put them in the chat. Oh, thank you, Harper. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. I did this event a while back and Mary was there. And I didn't share, I don't think quite as deeply on me. And I realized how important the context is. Yeah. So you understand where we're going with you. Oh, Okay. So where this ultimately led, right? Where did this take me? I shifted from being a yoga teacher to going to graduate school, a 3-year graduate program, not just in clinical psych, but in mind body psychology, and completing that and becoming briefly a psychotherapist. I have that background, I have that skill set, I have that training, but I am not in that industry. I am not licensed, credentialed, certified at any fucking thing. And if you want someone who has those things, you should probably go somewhere else. I was published in the Change book series, which is a self-help book series. It's like a chicken soup for the soul kind of series. I became published in Mad in America, which is an alternative mental health journal. I've had a coaching business doing this type of work for years now, since about 2014. And I will be abundantly transparent and honest. That's been very off and on. I've had pockets of epic success and pockets of massive business fails. So that's been, what it is. And let's see. I have a shit ton of clarity on who I am at the highest levels down to an identity level. To speak for that for a moment, my birth name is Jessica Abelson, and I know in some circles, you don't say your dead name, and I'm saying that for a reason, because the identity transformation I've had to go through has been huge. I was raised to believe that I had to participate in a really toxic family system. I was raised to believe that I had to be like super religious in Judaism. I was raised to believe I had to marry a nice Jewish boy. I was raised to believe that, I could never spend any money on myself or nurture myself, and that it was a terrible thing, and on and on and on. And honestly, you guys, if I could deliver anything about what I've been through that's changed, it's been the identity shift. I have clarity on the impact that I'm creating at the highest levels. And yes, that is still in process. And I have very, very deep spiritual and emotional anchoring. I know who I am no matter what, and can almost always access a very kind of specific joy, as in a connection to the divine, which frequently shows up in very taboo and naughty and inappropriate humor. Very naughty humor. And that's joy, right? That's joy and aliveness, joy and vitality. Okay. So now let's talk about you a little bit. Should we talk about you guys? Yeah? Yeah? Are you superstars? Are you all superstars? Okay. Let's talk about you guys. So who this is for and what you want. You are a current or future author. You are a psychotherapist, teacher, healer, servant leader, educator, occupational therapist, alternative doctor. You might be actively serving in those roles, or it might be something that you haven't embodied yet, but that you know is truly yours. So whether this is something you're actually doing already, or you just are like, this is mine, they're both valid for the purposes of this class, and they're both valid for the purposes of working with me. You might be an entrepreneur, but you also might not be. But what you absolutely are is a fantastic human being who has a connection to the divine feminine and who wants to bring their highest level of impact into tangible form and to receive greater abundance along the way. And to do so now, you're aware that this is an issue that you are addressing now, like this week, this month, not maybe I'll think about it in 6 more months or another decade. You also have done a lot of, this one's really important. You also have done a lot of spiritual work or emotional integration work, one or both. You're not a beginner to working on your shit. If you are, I love you, but I'm not for you because I am too intense for that. And you will hate me. If you are brand new to healing or spiritual growth, you will wind up hating me. But you have already done a really considerable amount of spiritual and or personal, emotional integration work on yourself, and you are ready and hungry for more. Does that sound like you guys? Getting nods. Yeah, getting nods. Great. You've also likely had your own challenges with trauma or emotions, well-being or physical health, but you know or sense that this is part of the medicine that you are here to offer the collective. Okay, I want to say something about gender. You can be any gender here. You could be non-binary or you could be male, female, non-binary and do this work. It's not about your gender, but it is about your spiritual connection and your spiritual principles, and if you connect to the divine feminine as a spiritual force. But you get to be whoever you are, but it does matter what you are connecting to on a spiritual level. So rather than talk more, I want to invite us all to change gears for a moment so you can literally experience some of what I do with my private clients. We're going to go on like a group process together now. But before I do that, I want to check in again and see if anybody has any questions they want to pop in the comments. Okay, I see a smile. The question. Coffee. Okay, so let's go into the group journey. So go ahead and get comfortable. I want to invite you to make yourselves comfortable. We'll be doing this for maybe 10 minutes. It's not going to be like a 30-minute thing, but it's going to be 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's going to be a real piece of time, however long we go. So get comfortable first. And that might be seated, that might be lying down. Once you are comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to feel your body as you are sitting on the couch or sitting in a chair or lying on your bed or whatever you're doing with your physical body. Begin to just feel your physical body. And feel yourself in your physical form, but then also just feel yourself as like very human. Very, very human. The part of you that like went to the grocery store today, or the part of you that had a fight with somebody last week, or the part of you that has big material desires. Just invite in and feel and welcome your innate humanity, because it's really all good. It's really all a part of you. And just start by welcoming in your most human aspects. And take a moment to do that. Whether you're calling them in out loud or visualizing them coming into the room, however you do that. Good. Now, invite in your higher self. Maybe you know them as an aspect of the goddess. Maybe you know them as an angelic team. Maybe it's just a human version of you, but in bigger form. So call your higher self as you know them into the room. And as you're doing this, breathe. And really feel for doing this in a way where you can begin to feel them in your body. Now, now, behind and around and beyond your higher self, notice what sacred feminine or divine feminine spiritual lineage emerges. Maybe they are connected to the goddess Isis. Maybe they relate to Mary Magdalene or the Sophia. Maybe, as I do, they connect to the pre-Judaic divine feminine and the Shekinah. And begin to invoke, invite. The word seduce is coming as seduce in. Any aspects of the feminine lineage that is uniquely yours, and frequently, but not always, it has to do with the religion you were raised in, meaning not like from a traumatic perspective, but like for a lot of people I've worked with who were raised Christian, there is some really serious Mary Magdalene magic behind it. For myself, being raised Jewish, I am so connected to the Shekinah. And this is also not absolute. So as you're doing this, continue to connect to your higher self, continue to connect to the divine feminine lineage or specific goddesses that speak to you. And feel yourself bringing them closer to you, or are you going closer to them? So maybe you begin to feel them in your body. Maybe you're in a room with them and everybody's walking closer together. But go ahead and bring them and you closer together, however that is true for you. For myself, I know that feeling things in my physical body is the most powerful path of all. And then really, really feel it. Now, I want you to get curious about the impact that these aspects of you are here to create. Your higher self, your sacred feminine lineage, any goddesses you're connected to. I want you to begin to get very curious about the specific, tangible impact that these aspects of you are here to, I was going to say, are here to create, which is true, but are here to create in union with you and your human self, because it's all about the union of all of these aspects that are the impact that they are here to create in union with you and your very human self. And to feel for, rather than thinking about, to feel for any specificity. Are you here to write a book? Does it have a specific title? Are you here to teach a particular kind of class? Does it have a specific name? Are you here to take your existing business to a higher level? What does that look like? And just sit with this for a moment and notice what arises. And as you notice, pretend that you have a camera like behind your eyes so you can really zoom in on the details. Okay, so this is part one. This is sort of impact here and now, whether that's like this week or in 4 months or 6 months. Okay, so really take this in. And definitely either take a snapshot of it in your mind's eye or write a little mental note, because we're going to do another part in a moment. We're going to add on to this. So take a note internally on this. Then reconnect to the spiritual lineage, the goddess that you were working with. Make sure she's with you. And then go ahead and speed it up and peer into your own future or step into your own future, whatever that means for you. So for some of you guys, it's going to be 6 months from now. For some of you guys, it's going to be 10 years from now. Probably don't try to do like 30 years. Like, don't do anything too far out there, because just don't. Like, we want to keep this somewhat honed in. But let's step into your future self who has created the impact. We already spoke about the kind of impact that you're here to create. You already journeyed on that. Now step into the future self that's created this impact. So if you saw yourself writing a book and it was 8 months out, step into your future self 8 months from now. If you saw yourself having a thriving business and it was 5 years out, step into that future self 5 years from now. So go ahead and, like you're putting on a new set of clothes, step into the body of your future self with the goddess with you. The version of you who has already created this impact. And notice where they are. Notice what they see. Notice what they sense. Notice what they are creating. building, teaching. Slow this down and really feel it out. And again, take a mental note of what you're noticing. What is this future self teaching, leading, writing, sharing? Where do they live? What awesome clothes do they wear? And then go ahead and begin to embody it. Pull that vision down into your body like you're creating a little imprint of I am whatever your name is at that time. Maybe it's the same as the name you hold now. Maybe it's different. And I am writing this book with this title. I am booked out with this many clients. I am a teacher of XYZ. Whatever it is for you, while continuing to feel the divine feminine with you. Okay, and then take 3 or 4 breaths. Make sure you imprint this like a snapshot in your mind's eye, as well as in your physical body. And then take 3, 4, 5, 10 breaths. And however you need to bring yourself back to the room and back to the here and now. And when you're all the way back, just let me know by opening your eyes, unless you're not on camera, in which case I won't know. That's okay too. Okay. For those of you who are on camera, when you're all the way back, open your eyes. Now, if anybody wants to take them, I think you guys can take yourselves off mute. I don't want to get into Q&A yet because we are limited on time. But if anybody wants to type a share or take themselves off of mute and just share like a 3-sentence share and just be witnessed in their share, that's welcome. Okay. I will move on if nobody wants to jump in with a short verbal share or a typed share. So make sure you've taken note of what you just experienced, whether you jot down like 3 sentences for yourself somewhere. You know, even if you're not sharing, you want this, we're going to use this later. So if you're not sharing with the collective, definitely like pause a moment and write down like 2 or 3 sentences of what you experienced for yourself. And we'll literally give this like 1 minute. It's not like a book, it's like 3 sentences. So let's talk more about you. We're going to pivot back to talking about you and what you've already tried to create the impact, leadership, and abundance you want and why it hasn't worked. And then we'll talk about what you need. Then I'll be talking about what you need instead. And then at the end, I'll be sharing how you can continue this in private work with me. And we'll also be doing a Q&A after everything. So we're doing a live, like full-on Q&A right at the very end. So if you're here, your primary quote unquote meta desires are some combination of impact, clarity or business clarity, and abundance. Underneath that large umbrella, it can look like writing a book. It can look like clarity on your next level of business. It could look like booking out your group programs or speaking on stage. And it also likely looks like more material abundance, whether that's receiving money from loved ones or higher levels of income within business. You have secondary desires too. And these are, I'm calling them secondary, not because they matter less, but because they get spoken about less, perhaps, or they're a little bit less conscious. You'd like more connection to your own personal spirituality, whether that's the goddess or the angelic realm, your higher self, your HDA, AKA spiritual wealth, like spiritual fullness. And I'm going to add on to this because I see Harper nodding. Thank you. I love the display. Thank you. Thank you. Maya, can you please mute yourself again? You came off of mute. So you'd like more spiritual fullness, particularly like outside of organized religion or whatever, I'm going to say this is whatever strangeness we all grew up with. And there's likely some sort of healing process that you're still in, whether that's releasing rage at men and the masculine, unwinding family trauma, or even like working on wounding with the feminine and the mother wound. You also know that these secondary desires also relate to your impact, leadership, and abundance. So here's what you've tried to do to create what you want. And not all of these will apply to all of you, but many of these will apply to many of you. You've tried going back to more therapy, doing more wound healing or shadow work, e.g. going into lost and repressed parts, emotional release, trauma healing, and the like. Some of you have gone to business coaching. Oh, this is my favorite one to make fun of. That tells you to make a client avatar, to make 18 client avatars and watch them fall on your head while you collapse in a little pile of tears underneath all your client avatars. Look, it's Betsy and she lives in Los Angeles. She's a real person. Okay, I'll stop making fun of the business coaching world now. To post on social media, to chase down the no people to get to the yes, to get out there and network, sales strategies and the like. Some of you've been in hustle-based coaching containers that say to DM 100 people a day, doing barter swaps and trades. Some of you have told yourself you need to wait until later, that you need to wait until later to create your impact or your larger vision until you are more healed, until your next client comes along and pays you, and then you can invest, or then you can pursue your work. That's my personal favorite. You've been questioning your business structures, changing your business structures and rates and fees, just like many of us change our underwear. Oh, there's more on this list. You've been thinking about getting higher level support. And then maybe like kind of like gonna start like thinking about it and then questioning it and then putting it on pause until you have more business or something changes in your emotional life. And then the cycle continues. So here's why at a core level, none of these things have created what you want. There's like a lot of reasons why whatever you've been doing on this list has not created your core desires. All of the above are not anchored in or connected to the highest level of who you are as a priestess, an oracle, a channel, a leader, or definitely as a vehicle or vessel of the goddess. Many of them create a whole pile of doing without fundamentally empowering you to reframe who you be. Others are anchored in avoidance, like avoidance of reality, avoidance of owning your power, or even avoidance of investing money in your vision and making concrete decisions. Um, or like the avoidance that comes, like, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this one, when you go to like a therapist for like 20 years, I'm like, not 20 years, but like 5 years, and they're so gentle that you never get anywhere because they're so cautious. That's actually also avoidance. Going to overly gentle and timid therapists. Avoidance because they're so afraid of breaking you that they never get to the point. Others are anchored in a concept of your brokenness. By the way, nobody's broken. We're all innately whole. No matter what situation you're in, no matter what healing process, no matter where you're at emotionally, you're whole. Others are anchored in a concept of brokenness, which keeps you, quote unquote, wounded, aka not ready to serve. And by all means, address your wounds. By all means, do the healing work that you need. By all means, that matters. And that's actually a part of the private work that I do. The difference is that I flip the switch and you put your power first. So your wholeness and your power and your higher self and everything we just tasted together comes first. And the wound healing process comes second, just flipping the order. Okay. And others are anchored in a fear of money, specifically a fear of placing money into yourself and who you are most meant to be. Finally, these things aren't working for you because nobody in any of these containers is seeing you as the priestess that you are. They're looking at you in your very human self and acting from there, even appropriately, even accurately, but they're leaving like the best parts of you totally out of the equation because they're not seeing themselves in the best parts of them. It's not personal. It's not an attack. They don't hate you. They're not bad practitioners. They're not able to see it for themselves, so they can't see it for you. Okay. So it all comes down to this. It's like a lot of what you've been doing comes down to this. It's like thinking you're a decrepit old Toyota and continually replacing the parts instead of realizing that you are a Porsche and learning how to drive yourself. The process of initiation is where you remember the Porsche, quote unquote, that you already are and bringing that into the world to create your magic. So just take that in for a moment because that was a lot. Yeah, we'll let that land. I'm going to tell you what you need instead. We're getting there, but just a few seconds. Let all of that land. Okay, so pivoting. Here is what is required instead for the impact, leadership, and abundance you require. By the way, I think that the landing page said something specifically about abundance, and I'm going to do a separate, very short thing on that near the end. Okay. So to remember and know on a body-based level who you truly are as an oracle, a vehicle, or vessel of her. A mental knowing, yes, but even more on a body-based level. That's number one. To remember and know who you are in your body as an oracle or vessel or vehicle of the goddess. Two, to make every single leadership, impact, business, and abundance-based decision from that place. I cannot stress this one enough. You cannot be making your choices about your vision and your impact from a place of fear, even though the fear will be there, even though it matters, even though it deserves attention and love and healing. You cannot make your decisions from that place. The leadership, impact, business, abundance-based decisions come from the place of one, come from thou art that, I am her. Three, all of this begins with you actually going through the initiatory path that is authentic and true to you. And yes, this will be different for everybody. Mine is with the Shekinah. I also have a deep relationship with the goddess Isis. Sure, I love Mary Magdalene, but it's not really what I teach or my specific path. There are people in this room who are connected to angels. It is different. It is unique to each of you. Okay. So 1 is to remember know who you are in your body. 2 is to make leadership impact decisions from that place. 3 is going through the initiatory path that is authentic to you. And remember what I said before about you as a Toyota versus you as a Porsche? This is what we're doing. We're changing the entire framework of who you think you are. Okay. Now, this is exactly what you and I will be doing if you do move forwards and work with me privately. And I'm totally going to drop a link for how to move forwards with that in the chat if this speaks to anybody. After I can find the chat, that is. So there's a link there if anybody wants to move forwards with this. Okay. So a couple of notes about who mentorship is for. One, you desire higher levels of impact, leadership, and abundance. With impact in particular, it will be very customized and true to you. I'm not a business coach who's going to tell you you have to have private clients, or you have to charge this, or you have to have that, or you have to be low ticket, or you have to be high ticket, or any of that drama. I have had clients who have been in process of writing books. I have had clients who had businesses that existed already, who switched from hourly to high ticket and got booked out at their high ticket rates. I have had clients, I had a client once who was a psychotherapist and pivoted to booking out her business as a spiritual teacher. And she did not want to do high ticket. She was hourly, but she was selling sessions for $300 an hour and was fully booked within half a year. So what this impact looks like is unique to you. It's not like, it's not copy me, and it's not like one particular frame. It's about impact. I've had clients who left their jobs and went to pursue a career in the arts. So it's about the spirituality and the impact that are really, really, really so incredibly specific to you. So that needed to be said. So who this is for, you desire higher levels of impact, leadership, and abundance. With impact in particular, it will be very customized and true to you. 2, you already have years of experience in personal development or personal healing or spiritual practice and desire more. So you've already gone to trauma work for like 2 years, or been doing yoga for 10, or whatever it is for you, and you're hungry for more. And 3, you're ready to create these changes now. This is an issue that you're wanting to address now, not after you sign your next client or after you heal the next thing. As an aside, the healing also happens inside the container. We get to that too, if that's a thing. I mentioned I don't know if it was, I think for a previous version, I got into this in emails. For this one, it was just on the landing page. I mentioned that we'd be addressing abundance. So I do want to honor what I named on the landing page when you guys signed up for this. And so let's get into that. So abundance. And when I say abundance, I'm speaking about money, but I'm also speaking about other aspects of it, like receiving more attention, more praise, more love. Like, I know some of us, like somebody compliments us and say, oh, you look amazing today. And you're like, oh, no, I don't. Not deflecting. So abundance isn't just about money. It is about money, but it's also about receiving love, receiving praise, receiving compliments, and letting them land. And how you relate to that. So to walk along this path and create the impact that you are here to create, you are going to need to shift your relationship to abundance. And okay, we're gonna play for a moment. Okay, you guys ready to play? I'll get into what I typed in my notes in a moment. We're gonna play. Yeah, Harper wants to play. Okay. I'm going to give you a group compliment, and I'm going to invite you to all let it sink in, okay? Real time. Actually, I'm going to do this individually for each of you, okay? I'm just going to go on. Okay, Mary, you're a wonderful human being. And Mary, you let that sink in for you. Maya, you're a wonderful human being. Harper, you're a wonderful human being. Harris, you're a wonderful cat. I just had to say that. Okay, Harris, you're a wonderful human being. Harris, you're an excellent cat and a wonderful human being. I want each of you to just let your compliments sink in and to receive them and not push them away and not shrug them off and not deflect them. This is where abundance begins. Letting in the compliment is the same energetic as letting in more money. It's the same energetic as in letting in more love. It's the same energetic as letting in more visibility. And I'm realizing I missed shares in the chat before. Okay. Does anybody want to type in a quick share about how that landed, that compliment? Or go off mute for a moment and just do like a 2-sentence share on that compliment and how they felt. Warm fuzzies. Let's do it again. When I let it in, it reminds me of who I am without others' BS. Exactly. Okay, we're going to do it again for Harper and Harris because they shared. Harper, you're a wonderful human being. Harris, you're a wonderful human being. Exactly. So that's where the abundance thing really starts to shift. So I'll go back to the abundance thing that I had in my notes now. I mentioned in my emails, oh, very heartfelt, smiling, yay, touching into basic goodness. Great. I love these. Exactly. So I mentioned that I would touch more upon abundance. You need to be making your decisions, and that includes financial decisions too, whenever possible, now from the priestess that you are, and not just from your present day financial situation. And yes, there's consensus reality too. I'm not avoiding that. I'll get into that in a moment. But this includes the decision to consider if you book a call with me. Much of society and cultural programming is steeped in abundance fear, fear of receiving money, fear of having money, fear of spending money, but also fear of receiving love, having love, enjoying love, fear of having attention and praise, enjoying attention and praise, all of it. Okay. Well, some parts of this collective fear are valid. A lot of it is just total chaos. One of these things that flips the switch is that whenever possible, you feel for the higher truth in situations around abundance rather than collective fear. So I said, I'd say, how does this apply to consensus reality? For some of you, that's not going to look like working with me. That's going to look like you buying yourself that extra latte for the joy of it and enjoying it shamelessly, because that's a form of abundance that fits into your reality at this moment. For some of you, it's going to look like expanding your nervous system with letting yourself receive love, compliments, and praise, what we just did. And that's probably true for all of you. It's true for me. It's true for humans. It's about letting in that love and praise first, especially if your tendency is to shut it down. It is also about investing money in you first, whether that amount is small or large, especially if your tendency is to go into fear. I'm going to say that one again. It's also about investing money in you first, whether that amount is small, like a latte, or significant, like mentorship, especially if your tendency is to go into fear. This reframe around abundance is also what brings more of what you desire towards you. I'm going to say this again. This reframe around abundance is also what brings more of what you desire towards you. It's only in stretching your container within a window of nervous system tolerance in all of the ways that receiving and abundance grow. Okay. So take a deep breath and let that in. We're breaking down collective conditioning and collective programming here. And again, if there's any ahas, shares, reactions, now I hate you, whatever it is, throw that in the chat. I liked you, now you suck, whatever it is. That's cool. I could take that. I like it. I like it all. Hearts. Yay, hearts. I'm going to continue onwards. Okay. And all of the above, from the initiatory process to the impact, leadership, and abundance, is also what I want for you and what you are invited into within private mentorship with me. The next step, if it speaks to you, is to book a call. And I was trying to paste that in the chat, and instead I pasted it on my Google Docs. We'll try that again. Okay, there'll be an email after. It's in the chat already, and I'll send it out later. The next step, if it speaks to you, is to book a call. And is to book a call, and we'll be exploring if you are a fit for mentorship, and if, and only if you are, enrolling you in the right container for you. I do want to mention that if you are interested, I would recommend doing this now. The link is earlier in the chat, and I will send it out an email after. So it is earlier on, and I'll send out an email after. That you do this now, because I prefer tight timelines, tight decision-making, people who are interested now. So I'm happy to get on a call with any of you who are interested, as long as, not if you're privately working with me, if you're not already working with me. Exactly. No, not if you're working with me already. If you're not already working with me. But I do ask that you book it for next week. I have openings Monday through Friday. I've orchestrated them to fit with a variety of time zones. I purposely set it up so whatever weird time zone we're all in, it will work out. It should work out. So the time to do that is, the time to book the call is now, and you can book yourself in for any time you want for next week, Monday through Friday. So if there's even a thought about, oh, this might be interesting to me, I think I might, but I'm not sure, but I have a question, but am I ready? But am I the right fit? But I have this other emotional challenge I'm working through. Maybe my emotional thing now is too big, is now my time. Any of that stuff, book the call anyway, because we'll be sorting out some of that on the call. So, and yeah, the prices are also on the booking link. So if you have a question about money, that is actually on the link itself. So you should just go there, and what you need financially is right on that page. So I also understand that how I work and more details about that is important to some of you. And I'm happy to get into that on the call itself, or even, if you want to unmute at the end of this call. Okay, so take a breath. I want to invite you back to the meditation we did earlier, the one we finished like 25 minutes ago. Harris, sorry. Harris, you've stuck with me for ages yet. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Thank you, Harris. Please don't book that call if we're already working together. Earlier in this call, we did a brief meditation where you connected to the divine feminine and your higher self. And I also invited you to witness your highest levels of impact from that space and to write them down. I'm going to invite you to take a moment to breathe back into that space, to slow down, to remember. And if you took notes, to find your notes, if you just took a mental snapshot to find your mental snapshot, both of what you were creating in the now and as your future self. And if you feel called to either take yourself off mute and share or to drop it in the chat. Yes. Oh, Mary, yes.
Yeah. Going back to the meditation, higher self presented as a Tibetan mantra, which I'm used to. But behind that was Kuan Yin, um, archetypal statue of Kuan Yin. Next 2 years, 2 books, and I got a fake colouring of the front covers, both books. Supposed to be writing many books over many years. There is an element of mentoring, but it's a smaller portion. It's the actual authoring that's going to take the larger impact. So that's just a little bit more clarity.
I love it. I love the Kuan Yin and I love the books and the authoring being the biggest impact. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I can talk. I was seeing myself traveling and working on one of my projects that I've spoken with you about, creating funding for women visionaries. And I've also had one or a few people that I was mentoring that was funding me, funding others. And there was just such an ease and grace about it. It was just so aligned and not frightening anymore. Yeah.
I love that for you, especially the aligned, not frightening part.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Really charging up with the divine feminine.
Yes.
Not trying to do it without that wonderful organic charging system. Thank you.
Plug. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome, love. Anyone else want to do a share?
Hey.
Hi,
love. Sorry, I did join a bit late, but being in this space, it's made me think a lot more about, I already started my business last year and loads of other stuff's been happening. But I feel I was actually reminded of something that I thought about maybe last year that I'd kind of forgotten about, which was that I want to create kind of like a library of resources, like affordable stuff. So whether that's like emotional regulation, mini course and stuff. Because so far everything I've been doing is in person, and it's, and obviously my time and my energy is limited. So it's just kind of brought back to my mind the fact that it was always my intention at the beginning to create resources that people can access more easily and in their own time, and that I don't have to deliver, so that they can get loads of really good help sooner rather than later. And yeah, and also I guess in a way that would also make it easier for me, because people have done the foundational work before they come and work with me one-to-one. And yeah, it's just there's just something magical about it. Like I'm just seeing this library of different courses and tools and stuff, and I feel actually like it would be quite easy to create. I've already got like a map in my brain of where I can put that and how I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited about it. This is where the nerdy bit comes out when I think about how I'm going to build it and where I'm going to put it and do all the technical bits.
I love it. I'm gonna pause you there, Harris. Yeah. But thank you for sharing. I really see that for you. I really see you building that library of the resources and having, an easy access way for people to get help with trauma. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Harper, did you want to share anything, or are you okay? Whatever you want.
Yes, I can. If you can hear me all right. I don't know. It was, I didn't feel like I got anything kind of concrete, because I still just feel very, I don't know, in the fog of all of it. But I did feel a sense of like this really being more in my own power and like confident, like self-trust in a way. That's what I'm wanting to feel more of that. So I was able to tap into that a little bit, but not like anything of like in the doing of anything quite fully, but like feeling more in tune to like, yes, I am feeling quite confident in being me, which I'm definitely working on towards being that more. So yeah. I guess I could share also that I was able to tap in a little bit to, I mean, I'm still not even sure if these are like, the divine feminine lineages or whatnot. So it's something for me to look into more. But Artemis, Hecate, and Lilith a little bit, and then since recently has been the work of Babylon. Since I found you through Carolyn and the EK coaching work that in Electric Yes. So I was like,
I just signed up for the red work with her.
I think I might do that too. 'Cause I'm like, that might be good. So I don't know all these things. So I was like, and I will add besides whatever I just shared. Or I guess no, I'll add that later maybe so we can continue whatever you need to do. But I'll have other thoughts, things.
We're doing a Q&A in like 3 more minutes. So just, yeah, but thank you for sharing that. And I will say just for this moment, that greater confidence is epic and it's huge and it's valid and it's honor it, because it's just as solid and real and tangible as anything else. Okay, I'm going to wrap up and then we're going to do a real Q&A. Okay, so I want to celebrate what you're all saying here. And then I'm going to ask this epic pivotal question. Would you let anything in the world stop you from creating this impact? Okay. So obviously the next step, if you want the impact, the leadership, the abundance, and to do so via a higher customized and specific divine feminine initiatory path without endless wound healing or endless hustle, and to do so on your terms, is to book a call with me. I did figure out technology and how to pop the link in again. And I'm open to doing those Monday through Friday next week only. So if anybody does want to click on that and go over there right now, that's great. If not, there will be an email after this class. And I want to mention, and this is actually for you, Harper, because I know you're in Carolyn's world and I know she just released a business container. I was like aware of this and I know that I just signed up for it. What I do is it would be one-to-one. It would be so personal with so much space to get into the emotional trauma surrounding things, to get into the specifics of your own specific initiatory path. Carolyn and her crew are obviously decades ahead of me business-wise, obviously. Like I can't even say anything else. They are. They're light years ahead with me with the business aspects. But in terms of having somebody to hold you really personally with any emotional issues or past trauma or wounding or your own personal spiritual path, the difference would be the vast amount of spaciousness, with me versus what she's offering right now. Because that's going to be like group and like, I think there's like 100 people in there. So I don't know if you're looking for somebody to work with. You might not be, but I just wanted to mention it just in case. So you had that note. Okay. Now you guys have the link. If anyone wants to book something, you can. I want to open the floor for any Q&A about anything at all. Look, we're done with the class. I want to open the floor for anything, like not so much coaching questions because we're already at like almost 90 minutes. But if it's like a short share from today or a question about what working with me privately looks like how do I help clients? Would this issue be acceptable? Are you a fit for me? Any shares about today, that type of thing. So if anyone has questions, some of you have worked with me. If you want to share anything about that very briefly, that's cool. Okay, I will shut up. You guys go.
I will share really quickly. I have been working with Asherah since December and have recommended my own clients to her, and I've worked with a lot of different people. I've been in the sort of healing space and coaching space and stuff for an entrepreneurial space for like 12 years. And I just feel really fortunate to have worked with Asherah for so long. And it's interesting because I think if you've been in the coaching world for long enough, you see people who are like, oh, if you work with me, you'll make $1 million or whatever it might be. And by the way, I still think that I'm going to make $1 million. But the difference is I feel that with you, Asherah, I can bring anything. And first of all, you see me as super capable and super worthy, which is so nice. But also, it's often that like the one thing in the way of that particular thing that we're dealing with in the session is like one tweak away. You're looking at this in this way. What if you looked at it in that way? And I'm like, oh my God, like that makes so much sense. And it's so simple and so effective. And my life has moved on so quickly. Like when we met, I was in a real slump and I didn't know how my life was going to move forward, and now it's moving forward so fast that I'm like going to bed early to cope with it in a good way. But yeah, things have changed really quickly, and yeah, I just think you're like amazing to work with, and I've never met anyone who works like you, so that's what I want to say.
I'm hugging you, Harris.
Thank you.
I'm hugging you. Thank you. Anybody have questions about anything or other shares?
I guess I do have a question. I feel like I'm ground zero and I don't even know fully what I'd want to do or offer yet. Even though I'm still like in the kind of the dark night of the soul / transition phase, void or whatever, and still like clinging on to like the past work or the previous work things that I've been doing that's underneath other people and like not doing like my own thing yet. So I'm curious if that would be still a good fit, even though I don't really know what I'm doing at all.
Yeah. Maya, would you put yourself on, not you, Harper. Maya, would you put yourself on mute? And Harper, you can stay unmuted. Yeah. So potentially, the question I would have for you is, I have two questions for you that will help me clarify and help me know. Do you have a sense that you're here to create something, to make an impact?
I would like to make impact,
Okay.
but I'm scared.
Okay, well, that's where we would begin. That's what needs to be looked at, love, is that you're scared. So, and I think I know the answer to the second question. What sort of personal transformational and personal development work have you already done on yourself?
Like, how do I put this into words? I guess kind of like a lot of it's been basically on my own. I have done some therapy, but insurance runs out and then you're just like, no, I can't pay for that right now. But definitely I've been going through a lot of EK stuff, and internal family systems work and the like. So I guess that's a short answer because words are hard to come out.
That's valid. The only answer I can give you right now without actually getting on a longer call with you on unpacking this is perhaps. It's not no. It's not no, it's maybe. Because if you are interested in making an impact, but you're scared, if we were to work together, the first thing we'd be looking at is really the obvious, what are you scared of? And, like, what are you scared of? Because that's gonna would be the first thing if we did something long-term together. And the second thing, because I'm cool with the fact that you've done something like EK work and family systems, because that just shows a commitment to it. And that's going to matter more than whether you've done years or decades. And that being said, paired with your statement that you're scared, tells me that if we did something, it might be like more heavily leaning towards, internal work on spirituality or trauma with like little splashes of impact work rather than the other way around.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? How does that land when I say that?
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. And you're totally welcome to book a call if you want to. Yeah. It's not like, no, stay away, woman. Yeah. Just do what you want. But yeah, the door is open for you. Absolutely. Does anybody else have questions? Harper, did you have extra questions? Does anyone else have questions about anything? Oh, heart back to Harris here. I was being silly.
I guess
There-
I'll add not really a question, but how I found you through the Electric Yes coaching call groups that I've been working my way through. It's such a quite a library. And I wanted to say just thank you for showing up as yourself in the calls. I had recently listened to the one where you tapped more into like your own power and you were just so emotionally vulnerable and I'm like, oh my goodness, it was amazing. So I just wanted to share that with you, how wonderful that was.
Okay, so I love that, and I'm going to say thank you for saying that. I'll share a story. We're recording this too. This is going to be hilarious. Everybody's going to be on my list. But I'm going to be more vulnerable on this. So years ago, I was at a twin flame event and it was about finding your twin flame. And I broke down sobbing in the hall because I didn't have a twin flame and I was scared. I'm still single, by the way. I was scared that I wouldn't have one. Anyway, somebody else there saw me crying and she became a client years later because she admired how I could break down sobbing at a public event. And I was like, why'd you hire me? She's like, I admired your vulnerability and that you could cry in public and I wanted that for me. So this has happened before, Harper. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Okay, if not, we will go into a short. Oh, Mary, yes.
Okay. Mine's just to say, since the first initiation event to the short time I've worked with you, I've gained a lot more clarity about my impact and just a lot more connection as well. Our sessions just brought through things I was unaware of, and yeah, thank you.
You are welcome. You are a joy and a love, and I am hugging you on camera. You are very welcome.
Thank you. Back to you as well.
Oh, thank you. Okay, everyone's gonna now for the cuddle pile, right? We now merge into the cuddle pile of this evening. Okay, let's do a closing meditation. So go ahead and deepen your breath, eyes open or eyes closed. And anchor into your body. In the here and now. And reconnect to your human self and your higher self and your connection to the divine feminine, just briefly. And just take all of this gorgeous glowing energy and pull it down into your heart. It is yours. Anyone you work with, any teacher, any mentor, any guide is just that, a guide. This magic is actually yours. And take 7 or 8 more breaths here, just thanking yourself for showing up today and for participating so much, because you all participated, and thank you. It's a joy when everybody plays together. Okay. Take another few breaths, thanking yourself, gathering this energy in your heart, taking a little mental screenshot of this moment in time. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. We are going to say goodbye. Okay. I am sending love to all of you. I am sending appreciation. That was super fun with the participation. And lots of love. And I will see some of you on the other side. And if not, I send you adoration no matter the fuck what. And goodbye.